I'm Yayan, and I recently found a gif of a cat having cheese thrown at it.
I'm Drew, and I have a taxidermied squirrel with half its face missing.
And I'm Ray.
And
welcome to
Dicebags.
So, Drew, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Hasn't everyone already done that topic to death?
Well, no. Fuck you.
Oh.
We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons whether you like it or not, young man.
So, well, have you guys heard about 1D&D?
No.
Well, essentially, it's the next version of D&D. You know, the one we currently have being 5e, so of course they've done an Xbox and made the next one called 1. 1D&D, a bit like One Rat.
No.
One medium.
Oh, one. Because one sucks.
Yes, my point exactly. And there will no longer be D&D 5e content made, which is a bit crap, in all honesty. Let's be honest.
Well, wait, really? They're not actually going to be making 5e anymore?
No, because 1D&D is the next edition. It's like going from D&D 4e to D&D 5e.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll still probably play 5e, just because that's the one we all know.
Yeah, plus there are so many books for 5e at this point.
It's like people still playing 3E.
And a lot of people aren't fans of 1D&D.
Well,
such as
why
myself.
not, Yayan?
Because
Yeah.
it changes some of the established lore and makes some quite sizable changes.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want to know the giant problem everyone has with 1D&D?
Sure.
Or the several problems.
Go on.
Basically, you know how there are critical successes and critical failures?
Right, yeah.
Technically, those aren't real.
Whoops.
Because in, like, ability checks, you can't crit or crit fail. But 1D&D, makes it so a 1, no matter what, is always a failure, and a 20, no matter what, is always a success.
So, Yayan, if I wanted to have sex with God, and I rolled a 20, it would just happen.
I guess so.
You're just standing out in the middle of you're like in a town. You're standing out right in the middle of a square, and you just look up to the sky and say, "Hey, come down here and get some." And then behind the screen, you roll your 20, and then out of nowhere, bright light shines through, and this large man walks towards you. All right, and you asked for it.
All right then, you asked for it. My name's Barry, and I'm God.
Who was later found that evening with his entire ribcage crushed.
Taking Step on Me Daddy to a new level.
And his pelvis was nowhere to be found.
God damn it, I really want to do that now.
I'm not going to let you.
Why?
Because I have a little shred of dignity left. Apparently.
Not for any longer
That's
if you hang around
understandable.
with me.
Oh, that's true. Have we talked about this topic for 2 minutes? I assume so.
Yeah.
I guess 1D&D sucks.
I mean, that is the cycle of D&D editions. A new one comes along, everyone hates it, they grow to accept it, and then people migrate to it.
Oh, okay. So what do other people think of the current system?
Well, older players dislike it because it changes some of the established lore and makes some quite sizable changes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, 5e did the same, but everyone just sort of forgot.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people still are staying on 3E currently. Well, a lot of people make the 3.5e as well.
I want to give 4e a try, if I'm
And,
honest, because people have described it as if Warhammer and D&D had a baby.
Wasn't 4E the first edition that allowed you to actually kill a Terrest?
Possibly.
I mean, I haven't got a clue.
I don't know, I don't play 4e.
Because I'm fairly sure if you killed it in 3E or earlier, it didn't actually die. It just left.
Yeah.
I've had enough, I'm home. I'm off
home.
Says Trask in an oddly British accent.
It's wearing a suit.
I'm fairly sure it quite literally just digs itself down to the center of the earth to hibernate for another 500,000 years.
Mood.
Yeah.
Me, when I'm out of money, be like...
Me when I'm out of will to live. So, every Thursday.
Pretty much.
But yes, I really do enjoy 5e. That's why I keep going back to it. It's just fun.
I mean, yeah, it is
Well,
fun.
yeah.
Because in my
it was-
first game, I threw a plague doctor through a window to get a gay dragon cultist.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that's true.
Hang on a minute.
In the first ever game I ran with this group, they had to get into a dressing room because someone in a dragon mask stabbed a guy in the bar. You know, average Saturday night. Turns out it was all 5 people wearing a different mask representing each head of Tiamat. It was my first ever adventure. But it wasn't horrible. It was sort of based on the Murder of Crows level from Hitman Blood Money, in case any of you have ever played that.
No.
Then get some culture.
No, I refuse. It was fun.
Anyone else got some fun stories? Like maybe the time Drew hit a frog so hard they got sent to a different dimension?
Yeah, I wish I could have been there.
Oh yeah, that fun story. I was playing Zolgo. Now Zolgo, he's a big boy. He eats his greens and drinks his blood.
His own blood,
he's a
or...
big boy. And so one day he decides to walk up to this poor little frog and yeets it so hard into a different dimension.
But it wasn't a poor little frog, it was a grung warrior trying to stop you.
There's a bit of a difference, isn't there?
Well, compared to Zolgo, it was a poor little frog.
I think there's a bit of a difference between a frog and a grung. Just a tiny
Yeah, about like the fact grung stand up. I run grung as being about frog size because I think that's more hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, that's similar to the time where I was at a party and we had a Minotaur Barbarian in the team, and they had the most ludicrous stats because their con was 20, their strength was 20. Basically, the person building them accidentally min-maxed them. And yeah, we were all at level 1. We got into a fight with like a band of goblins. There was one left, and this person decides to go into barbarian rage and hit the goblin. So they roll a nat 20 with their great axe against this goblin, and they do about 25, 26 damage to this 7 HP goblin. Although I'm fairly sure
that thing's not coming back.
One singular hit point. So they sent the goblin. Goblin into orbit, and we didn't see it again.
Then one day you're playing a sci-fi campaign, and then just a small little skeleton just crushes against the windshield.
Oh, that is amazing. That is something that Zolgo would do. Absolutely.
So it's just like that legend of just inventing golf. It just, you hit the goblin so hard it flies 200 feet and lands down a rabbit hole.
And then you've made the most boring sport in existence, aside from chess.
The most boring sport to watch.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like golf, the golf clubs, they cost like thousands of pounds. Why?
Yeah, what's up with that? It's like, why?
My family's all getting into golf at the moment. It's weird.
No, and stop them.
Scary. That's terrifying.
Pretty soon,
remember the time I once had a practically brain-damaged lizard man fix a nuclear reactor?
Oh, yes, I remember that lizard man.
Oh, I love...
You did what?
Yeah, Demo Dave. Basically, he was only focused on explosions, but he had a doctorate in chemistry and was actually really smart when no one was looking. And
only when no one's looking.
Well, just when there didn't need to be anything else. So we were in like
this.
Didn't
need to be stupid.
We were in this like zombie bunker because it was a modern-ish zombies campaign, and their nuclear reactor wasn't working. Yeah. So Demo Dave just got to work.
Well, so if you say the words nuclear reactor, I don't immediately think.
Well, I mean, some of the weird things people have done.
They did. You're not exactly going to go into a tavern. It's going to be filled with elves, half-orcs, etc. and the like. There's like a friendly beholder sat, and in the middle of the tavern there's a fucking nuclear reactor just like chilling.
That does seem exactly like something I would
everything.
do.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're all going to hell. You especially.
You know what? Fair. Most of the stories come from me being a player, so let's just talk about that.
We're great at segues. Anyway,
No, we're
take it
not.
away, lads. I just actually turned to my left as if you were here.
If I must, so Ray, how many characters have you played in D&D? How many have you played?
Well, about 8-ish. You?
I mean, yeah, about 8. Because, you know, our DM, Yain, he keeps starting new systems where nobody wants them.
I'm sorry, okay? I just think they're cool. There's so many systems and they're all really fun looking. I'm sorry.
It's all your fault.
You're just holding up a potato. I just think they're neat.
Yeah.
It's all your fault. So, Ray, how do you make your characters? Like, what methods do you use, stuff, and stuff? Because I use 4d6 method, roll 4d6s, and ignore the lowest, then the DM allows 1 rerolls, because it's the one that shows us
The
mercy.
one time I show you mercy.
Well, I use the 4d6 method as well, but once a DM let us use 5d6 instead, and you can probably imagine how well that went.
No, I can't.
But yeah, well, that was the 5d6. I think there was 2 characters which had a 20 in their intelligence, both playing artificers. Hilariously enough, though, the one person playing the artillerist, because they wanted to play like a big tanky artillerist for a while, ended up playing an illithid with like no points in strength, and basically what they did was they sat at the back in psychic blast appear occasionally, and that was funny. But it was funny because the DM had let them get a spell book that let them gain spell levels from a lot higher than we were supposed to.
What in the
And
ever-loving...
they eventually, at one point, they sat in a building while we were in combat because we were stopping a suicide bomber from blowing up a town of Tieflings.
Oh.
I know, that's bad. And don't question it. And they ended up breaking a dimension door in the building they were in, sending a eldritch cannon through it, and that fought instead of them.
Oh.
But well, the suicide bomb wasn't even the worst part of the fight. It was the fact that when we killed them, one of our party members, who was fairly psychotic, ended up getting the suicide bomb and had that for the rest of the campaign.
Wait. You're telling me your entire party wasn't psychotic?
No. We actually had coherent people in the party.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, neither do I. Because our group is absolutely crazy.
We had a lad who was relatively new to D&D, but he had this character that he wanted to run, which is an Aarakocra Ranger, and he was absolutely lovely. He was actually the only person in the party with a level head. And I say that because there was me, there was the illithid. So I was playing a slime artificer. There was the illithid artificer. We had the dwarf sorcerer, which it was the most chaotic character in existence.
I mean, dwarfs usually are.
Because they played wild magic, so but they had an agreement with the DM where they would have wild magic based, and I kid you not, on how many copper pieces the character had. But on the first wild magic table result, because we were using the 3.5e wild magic table, because we're playing semi 3.5e, they gave themselves wild plague.
Oh.
I don't know what that does.
Every single time they cast a spell, it goes wild.
That sounds fun.
Oh, Oh, that does sound fun.
We had that for the entire
Nice.
campaign. But the worst part is when they cast magic on another party member, that party member had to make a Constitution saving throw or catch wild plague themselves.
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
So we had to stop this dwarf sorcerer from trying to heal anyone. So I ended up turning from the artificer into the party healer, which was also funny because I was effectively the party tank as well. And yeah, that was fun
I can
times.
imagine as the party tank, your character just like picks up a medkit and just throws it at his friends, hits them in the face, and they die.
Oh, that's the thing. I was the party tank, but I wasn't even playing a tanky character. My character was a slime that was basically like the backstory of this like specific race of slime was that the reason they gain sentience is because they basically eat the body
That's disturbing.
of like a sentient creature and they gain its consciousness.
Oh.
And this slime ate a fucking child.
We all make so many characters. What's some of your favourites, lads?
Well, mine was Zolgo. Definitely Zolgo. Mostly because A, he was the first character I actually ever made. And B, he's so crazy that he doesn't know what he's doing most of the time.
I once played a stupid lizard, Demo Dave, who you heard about earlier, that had one brain cell, and that brain cell was constantly thinking about explosions. But surprise, surprise, he has a doctorate in chemistry and somehow managed to fix the nuclear reactor without blowing it all up. And he also made lots and lots of bombs!
Always the best.
To be honest, I still... Yeah, that's the best. It's just...
See, one of my funniest characters I've played was a short stack winged tiefling who had bugger all strength. They were mainly dexterity based, and they ended up having to carry the Minotaur Barbarian, which weighed about 500, 600 pounds, over a gorge because a bridge had collapsed, and that was something that happened and somehow worked.
The things people let you get away with in D&D.
But yeah,
could you imagine if all of us met up in the same room?
yeah, exactly.
I think Zolgo and
Considering
Demo
that-
Dave would be enough.
Yeah.
Zolko and Demo Dave would eat the tiefling.
Oh no, he once ate a child, but he wouldn't eat tiefling unless he killed him.
We say the tiefling was effectively a child. They were like 14, because the whole ongoing joke throughout the campaign was we had the cow in the party
Yeah.
who would absolutely demolish everything, and then they would somehow get carried along by the child, who then the child would always be there to pick them up off the floor, or just like, you're being too stupid, do this. And this was the Minotaur that had a relatively high intelligence for a Minotaur. They had like 11, so they might as well have had a PhD.
Oh, that's great.
So, anyone got any future plans for characters? I do, because I never stopped making the bloody things.
Yeah, you don't. You don't stop making them.
Better find me a DM that does lots of fantasy games and
See, I
quick.
do have one that I might be able to introduce you to.
I don't. I haven't really got like mega
Winging it
plans
as you
for
go.
future characters. I just end up making characters, and then never using
Yeah.
them. Like, what's it called that we use? We use Hero Forge to make
Yeah.
characters, and this is all we do: is we make characters on Hero Forge, and then never use them.
Oh, and then there's Mr. Oh, I don't like it when you start so many game systems. And then just like, oh, I have all these characters I can't use.
Well, I like to have options.
This is the campaign I'd play this character in if I had
yeah,
one.
but I like to have options.
I've been waiting to play Quinn Nosgull for months.
Quinn Nodskull?
Yeah, don't you remember? They were the character that was raised in a small village with a loving nuclear family. As in, they were the child, not one of the parents. Not much to do in a small village, but there was a wizard's tower. Wizard slowly trained Quinn how to do things. He got the hang of it quite quickly. Never learned any actual magic, though.
Yes.
And the witch, she decided one day, hey, I don't want to stop doing cool things. I'll become a lich. As you do.
As you do casually.
Yeah. And then the, king and everything was just like, oh, someone's trying to become a lich? Bombard the entire village with siege weaponry. And then the half-built phylactery sort of malfunctioned with Quinn, giving them a body that was like sort of halfway a fusion between the witches and Quinn's original body, turning them from a man to a woman. And they also gained some magic. I mean, yeah, it just happened to me last Tuesday.
It's always funny when that happens.
I wish.
See, it's...
Cool.
Well, yeah, it's always funny when you got magic doing its... I'm going to go off topic here, because magic in D&D is hilarious, and when you get the unpredicted things happen, and they don't end as well as you might expect. See, one in the campaign I've finished most recently was one of the longest running campaigns I've actually been in, which was the one with the Dwarf Sorcerer in the party. We were fighting. It was effectively a boss, and it was like this giant soul elemental. So it was ridiculously overpowered, and the sorcerer decided, hey, what if the wild magic decided that we would swap bodies with each other? So that happened.
I mean, to be fair, I would love to run a body swap episode as a D&D adventure just to see what would happen.
With the three,
that would be pretty fun, actually.
With the 3 wild magic table, that's entirely possible. That's one of the bloody results. Apart from the hardest to get result on the wild magic table, which is completely erasing any form of magic from the caster and making them completely immune to any magical effects for the rest of their life.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's the fact that they can't cast any magic themselves, they can't use any magical items, any magic that would go off near them is immediately nullified, and like anything that like is based off magic, so like a magical elevator or something, they wouldn't be able to use.
Take the non-magic stairs then, like a regular person.
They just become from the most broken sorcerer to average Joe.
Anyway, if I was the DM doing that, I would find some way to be able to cure it. But I'm different from most DMs. Even in the way I run my games.
Well, you're different from most DMs. You're a bit different from this DM in the fact that the DM accidentally allowed they managed to fix it later, but the sorcerer managed to freeze an important NPC in time for 97 years.
I run my adventures differently than other DMs. I'm not like other DMs. I think other DMs run this a bit like a movie, but you just dip in and out of playing through it. So it's one continuous long thing basically. I run mine more a bit like a TV show. So each session or episode is like its own self-contained little adventure.
Oh right.
But it does all link to one overarching story.
Yeah, your own self-contained little episode of story.
Yeah, effectively.
So friends, basically.
It's House MD, let's be honest, with the amount of crime that's going on.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I do sometimes do like what I'm going to call the movie method of doing my D&D, but my players seem like the TV show method. Right, Drew?
Yeah, we've not had any problems with it whatsoever. I run mine more like the main way, the more traditional way of doing D&D.
That sounded so staged.
You're the one that made the script.
I might.
This is why I don't like scripts for podcasts. It's why I don't like scripts for podcasts.
Look,
just keep all
you
this
can
in.
go off script. This part I'm deleting 'cause it's getting way too meta for this right now.
Yeah, it is.
But yes, I've had
I
fun
did.
running my games like that. But I'm currently doing a special anniversary D&D game where it is more
Yeah.
like the movie method. However, I don't like it because I like to have the entire story written out before I start playing
Alright.
it. And if you're doing that method, that's not kind.
Yeah. No, they're not fun. Especially, they're not fun to write out. That's one thing. That's one issue I had when I was DMing because I used a campaign book. I DM'd 2 campaigns. One I wrote myself, and one took a campaign book. The one I wrote myself, we stopped playing. just simple as because it went a bit awry.
A bit awry.
And a bit awry by the fact that I accidentally killed the party with a NPC that I put in the wrong place.
Have some gods revive them. Bring it into the story narrative.
Well, one of them was already undead.
So make them double undead.
But after that, we started playing the Curse of Strahd campaign.
Why would you go for that one?
Curse of Strahd. I've been wanting to run that.
I don't know. I got it for Christmas. It's interesting.
I've heard.
It's a bit modular, to say this, so to speak. It's funny playing an overly gay vampire.
I mean, you can run Strahd however you want.
As
He can end up being overly gay. He can end up being like Nosferatu. He could even end up like Blackula. No, that's not a racist thing. That's an actual movie. Look it up.
Yes.
I was just covering all my bases. I don't want to get cancelled. I'm a blue robot. I can't really do much else.
I do want to see someone play a Curse of Strahd campaign where they play Strahd like Blackadder.
Who would both be?
Yes.
They just have they have a vampire thrall following them around called Baldric.
Yes.
I've carved my name in the tip of this arrow.
They play it like the medieval Blackadder.
If I ever run Curse of Strahd, I would do that. Either that or I would go overly dramatic.
Yes. It's I have the Curse of Strahd.
Sure, I guess we know what you're running next.
One D&D. Yeah, I have a few D&Ds in the work. One that we've just started, which is the Fallout one, which I want to continue, but we've not had time to do it. There is one that I really want to run, and it's Alien D&D. I really want to run.
It's the Alien system.
Yeah, it's the Alien
For a
system.
quick minute, I thought when you said Alien, I thought you were about to say you were going to play a Xenomorph, and I was like, what?
You can.
You can.
I think you're allowed to play as No, I read over the rules. You're not allowed to. Just one of the books, for some reason, makes it look like you can.
Okay.
Could you imagine if you could?
Yeah,
that would be monstrous. Literally.
Yeah, I wouldn't let you anyway.
Yeah.
I need to read over the rules and see how I want to run that.
Drew, do you want me to let you into?
Because I fucking love the Alien series. I love them, and especially Alien Isolation. Like that is the best game.
Alien Isolation is a brilliant game.
So, Drew, do you want me to let you in about a little secret about DMs?
Fucking power hungry pricks.
That too, but almost every DM sort of cheats.
Why are you sleeping with my wife?
That's private information. Anyway, almost every DM will lie about a dice roll. This may be to make the players seem more heroic. It might be even so the players aren't killed immediately. I mean, 99 times out of 100, it will be so the players can achieve their goal. Only, dickhead DMs will misuse it. But yes, DMs sometimes fudge rolls to make the story go better. But never, ever tell your players you do this. Well, never tell them when you've done it. But I will sometimes do a little bit of a joke. Like, I remember one time we were doing online sessions.
Yeah.
During lockdown, because that was fun. and one of the players was like, "Oh, I got a 4," and I was like, You got a what? No, a 4. You got a what? Like, oh, a 20. And I would just let that happen. Or sometimes, if I'm DM and I'll see the dice is on a really unfavourable roll, it's one of my players have made, I will bang the table super hard so it goes on to a different result.
We had something similar to that happen where I don't know how they managed it. They managed to land a D20 cocked, not leading up against anything. The D20, they rolled it and it balanced on the line in between two.
Oh, that is weird.
So
Did you take a picture?
the corner, I know. We did.
Well, if you could send that over to me, that'd be great. I'll put it up on the screen.
That was years ago that happened.
Don't worry about
I could
it.
try and find it, but it was hilarious. But yeah, they re-rolled it and rolled a 2, which was hilarious because it was a death save. But but yeah, at least didn't roll a 1 for a death save.
I mean, does 1 mean 2 instant failures? Sorry, does 1 mean...
Especially because
1
it
means
was
2
already
instant
their
failures or
second
instant
save.
death, right? Yeah.
No, yeah, depending on your DM, it does specifically say in the handbook that it's 1.
Yeah, that's how I run it.
That 1.
That's how I run it for
gives you
critical
2 failures.
failures.
Some DMs will play it off as instant death, but it. Yeah, well, with a 20 as well, it's supposed to be you're stable but not technically up. But some DMs will do it. You're up to 1 HP and you're back on your feet.
I've only ever had a player going to death saves once, and that was a level 3 group, 3 level 3 players.
Never underestimate
5
goblins. Never underestimate goblins. Goblins.
They were stripped of their weapons. Yeah, goblins. Not like magically armoured, super buff goblins. Not even a bugbear. Not even a hobgoblin.
Right. Goblins.
Just goblins.
Never underestimate the power of goblins. Goblins will get you.
And they knocked the lizard folk druid unconscious.
Oh yes, this is. Oh, I remember.
I can't remember what.
But we did do the "I'm just a little goblin" meme a lot that night.
Yeah. See, I can't remember the. I can't remember who was telling the story now, but there was someone who had a entire party of level 11 players wiped out by a band of 8 goblins. Because it's just, don't underestimate the goblins.
Why are goblins so stupidly?
Because they're goblins.
Big goblin, as you.
I thought you were about to say big goblin tits. I was going to be
no.
Well,
Drew, do you remember what happened later on that session? The one with the goblins. It's the one where I terrified you all.
Oh yes, the part where you terrified us all, and where I shot myself.
So, for some backstory, I have made a mystery that has gone on for over a year, and they've only recently solved a little bit of the puzzle.
Oh God.
So I can't say anything.
Yes.
Because both of the people in this call are going to be my players. Well, Drew is. Ray, I will eventually manipulate her into coming there.
Yes.
But essentially, they'd been invited round to a dinner from someone they had saved the wife of. But it turned out it was a ruse. The grandmother at the dinner was a disguised bone devil, and all the servants had been replaced by 2 goblins standing on top of each other.
Yes. The only thing you can do that
in
with
large coats.
It's either 2 goblins or 3 kobolds. That's it.
Yeah. And
those are the exact specifications.
Yeah.
Never anything else.
Those are the only specifications for it.
And
you can't do anything else. It has to be either goblins or
kobolds.
The other thing.
But yeah, and after they'd finished the meal, they all passed out and were found bound to chairs and stripped of most of their weapons. A few of them had some natural weapons and stuff, but so one had to fight with a table with a chair leg, one had to fight with a dagger, and the lizard folk, he just bit into stuff. We had to actually cancel the session because the fight had gone on so long and almost killed a player that we had almost ran over time. So we had to stop the session. So we went back and redid. We went back
Oh.
and redid. Well, we just went back and continued the session a few days later, and they got to the Bone Devil, who, when they got there, started like, you know how there's like the weird red
Yes.
bits on a Bone Devil, like sort of like dried blood. That all turned black, and his eyes went pure beaming white.
Yes.
And then he started just twitching and convulsing, and his voice changed.
Oh.
Changed this sort of like Russian, quite imposing, quite menacing voice.
Yeah, I remember this bit.
And he basically told them how, thanks for giving me your dismembered arm, because that's helped me rise to power.
Yes.
And also, I hate you in particular, the one that also has a Russian accent. And yeah, basically, I just scared the ever-living daylights out of my players. What was better, though, was when I started I started giving them all little clues as to his name
Yeah.
by game mixing.
It's your
No,
job
they
as the
figured it out
DM to
recently.
do that, in fairness.
So in Pathfinder, I gave them these list of homebrew demons, and one of them was like heavily scribbled out, but I accidentally left a negative sheet of paper underneath
And
it.
they've still not figured it out.
Yeah, he was game
Unfortunately, I must have
mixing.
not pressed in hard enough or anything, because they didn't figure out his whole name. They only got the last letter of his name. And I gave each of my players one question they could ask. One question was, are you game mixing? One question was a yes or no question. The answer was no. And then the final question was, how many letters are in the name? And it was 5.
Wait, so
and-
a yes or no question?
Yeah.
How many letters are in the name? Yes.
No, one question was a yes or no question, and then the last question was how many letters are in the name. There were 5 letters in the
Right,
name.
okay.
They figured out the last letter was Z, and in another game, I told them how the first 2 letters were O, G, and L. How they forgot the first time I told them the letters were O, G, and L, so I had to spend time telling them again.
Yeah. We are done.
And then they just sort of brute forced it until they went for O-G-L-A-Z, or Oglaz.
Which
which,
is
as
Zolgo
anyone-
backwards.
Yeah, which is Zolgo backwards. And that's not even the whole mystery yet. They're still working the rest of it out, and that's fun. Do you want to know the even funnier,
Yeah.
do you want to know the even funnier thing? Drew can't remember how he accidentally summoned it.
No, I cannot remember how I accidentally summoned it.
But I remember, because I'm the DM.
Like, I legitimately do not know what I have done or what Zolgo has done to cause
Alright,
this.
oh.
Because I'm blaming
Also,
Zolgo.
when they actually figured out Oglaz's name, I told each of the players, not the characters, that they each felt a cold chill down their spine.
Huh.
Yeah. And funny thing is, I love just watching the absolute mayhem and chaos. Like, I'm glad you guys are my players, because it's fun watching all your reactions. Like, the fear, the
Yeah, it
confusion,
has
the
been a lot
joy,
of
the
fun,
absolute
but-
terror, the highly potent liquid opium I have in my veins. It's all adding to it.
Wait, what?
But yeah, I honestly just love you guys as players. Oh, would you look
yeah,
at that?
we love being the players.
Oh,
It's
would you look
just
at that? We
wish
only
we
have
haven't
5
got-
minutes
Played in any of your
left
campaigns yet.
because our manager is a hard ass.
What?
We love you, manager.
Oh, do we?
So, welcome to the final 5 minutes. Should we activate the countdown?
No, don't do it. I'm
So-
not ready.
At the end of our show, we get
Oh,
5 minutes to have fun. And that's going to be, today, me explaining Yu-Gi-Oh! To 2 people that have never played Yu-Gi-Oh!
So, Ryan, what is...
Alright, starting the timer in 3, 2,
Fight.
1, go! So, Yu-Gi-Oh! You have cards called monsters, spell cards, and trap cards. Monster cards are like the character cards. You put them down, they fight, you win. Spell cards help your monsters by doing things like giving them extra to their stats or making your opponents weaker.
Yes.
There are also trap cards, which are like spell cards, but they only activate sometimes. Depends on the rules. They only activate on your
On
opponent's
certain
turn.
criteria.
Yeah, they mostly only activate on your opponent's turn.
Oh.
Yeah. There's also
okay.
2 ways, alright, 3 ways you can summon standard monsters. There's summoning face up in attack position. Attack position means pointing forward, so you can read the card art and everything. There's defense position, in which it has to be sideways and turned face down. And if it is in attack position, you use its attack stat. If it's in defense position, you use its defense stat. And if something is in defense position, you don't take damage from it unless there are certain abilities. And if it's in attack position, if your opponent has a higher attack value and it attacks that monster dies, and the difference in attack is dealt to the person whose monster died. There are also special kinds of monsters. The first kind are fusion monsters. For this, you need any one of like millions of fusion cards, like polymerization, and all the other stuff that comes along with that. There's like future polymerization, but I've made the card up to squirrels. There's a lot of polymerization cards because it requires you get to a lot of monsters. And every fusion monster, which will be outlined with purple borders, will say, like, 2 dark monsters, this specific monster and this specific monster. And when you play the polymerization card, because that's the most basic one, you will have to send those 2 monsters to the graveyard, 2 or 3 or whatever monsters, to graveyard, or the discard pile. But it's called the graveyard because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is edgy. And when you do that, you get to summon the big monster. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're utterly terrible, especially if it's in the dual monsters section. Then you have synchro summons. Synchro summons are essentially a card would be like, 1 tuner monster, and that's not the kind of fish, that's a kind of, like, a tuning fork, and 1 other kind of monster. And when you do that, you will have to put those together, and their level, because cards have levels represented by little stars on them, their level will have to either be exactly the same as or exceed the monster's level on the synchro summon card. And then you get summoned that, it's really cool and everything. There's also XYZ monsters. They're XYZ. Why does everyone keep saying XZs? I don't even really know about them. I've got a minute and a half left. Basically, do the same thing you do with synchro summons, but not. Everyone starts with 8,000 life points. You win when your opponent's life points go to 0. There is a few cards that let you win automatically. So, cheat cards. There's 1 card called Final Countdown, which when you play it, in 20 turns, you win. That's not an endless one, so they can't stop its effect by dispelling it. And there's also Exodia the Forbidden One.
Yes,
which is 5 different cards. Yeah, he's the big, scary, golden Egyptian guy. Who, when you get all 5 bits of him, you just win.
Oh, you just win.
Yes.
Straight up just
You
win.
You win the game.
Yeah, you win.
No, you win life, Drew.
Yeah, win at life by being a nerd, who knew? So that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Now let's try and have a game. No, I'm not that serious. I would love to do that. So,
we're not in person.
There's online ways you can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Not today, though. But that's how you play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Refuse.
There's 20 seconds left. There's effect monsters, there's normal monsters. Effect monsters do a certain thing when a certain thing happens, or when you summon them. Normal monsters are basic bitches. You have the draw phase, the setup phase, the attack phase, and then the end phase. And that's time up. Hey! Well, that's the first episode of Dicebags done, I guess.
My brain hurts.
So now you guys know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
That was absolute chaos.
Yes, you do. Shut up. I'm a good person
No, I
at explaining
don't.
things.
No,
I.
So, that was episode 1 of Dicebags. We didn't write how to end the show.
This is gonna need some editing.
This is Dicebags signing off. And remember, we hate you all.
Yeah, we do. Go fuck
Goodbye.
yourselves.